Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are to look at the horizontal shift of trigonometric graph. Let's refer to the word horizontal. We are to move in the left or right direction. In other words, we are to move in the x-axis direction. And what causes the horizontal shift is the plus or minus a number that is inside the function. If you are to look at the parentheses, that tells you that is inside the function. We are to look at this visually using the original graph y is equal to sine x. And now we are to perform the horizontal shifting. Now we are to look at the graph that moves towards the right. So when the graph is moving towards the right, you just need to know that the sign should be minus. So y is equal to sine inside a parenthesis x minus c. Remember, is the opposite direction of the sign. When minus, you are to move towards the right. On the other hand, if you are to move towards the left, the sign here will be plus. Is the opposite direction of the sign. Moving on, we are to graph the trigonometric function in which we are to perform minus 180 degrees inside the parentheses. Remember, when you're doing shifting questions, you're always to draw the original function that has not been transformed. In other words, y is equal to cos x. Then you are to determine the transformation that is being made. And let's refer to this minus 180 degrees inside the parentheses. If inside the parentheses, that tells you is inside the function. We are to perform horizontal shifting. Then, by using the sign, you should know that we are to perform in the opposite direction. So we are to move towards the right. And the 180 degrees tells you we are to move 180 degrees. Let's mark the x-axis first. So from the point of intersection, that's your 0 degrees. Then with a 90 degrees interval, then you should get all the critical angles. And we are to shift all the critical points 180 degrees towards the right. So what are the critical points? In this case, is the maxima, that is this point. So you are to shift this point 180 degrees towards the right. Since it's now at 0 degrees, you are to add 180 degrees to this point, and the new point will give you at 180 degrees. And here we are. In a similar way, we are to look at the x-intercept. It's now at 90 degrees. You are to add 180 degrees, and I believe that should give you 270 degrees. Now, the second critical point should be here. Then we are to look at this minima and shift 180 degrees from 180 degrees, and that should give you 360 degrees. And we can stop here without doing the last two x-intercept and the maxima. The reason is this: we are to look at the domain. Since the domain is within 0 degrees to 360 degrees, and we just get the new coordinate for the 360 degrees. If you are to do them further, it's unnecessary, And we should now focus in between the interval of 0 degrees to 180 degrees. We have not gotten any value from 0 degrees to 180 degrees. We have the recurring nature of the trigonometric function. Now, if you are to look at this, I have extended the graph 180 degrees towards the left. So correspondingly, you should get minus 180 and minus 90 degrees respectively. We are to use these two coordinates and then to shift 180 degrees towards the right. We are to start from minus 90 plus 180. Therefore, we should get the point here. The last, we are to shift this minus 180 degrees. We are to shift this towards the right for 180 degrees. And you should land on 0 degrees. And we are to start from 0 degrees and connect the green coordinates we have. And this green graph should be your new graph. Moving on, we are to look at this horizontal shifting in which x is plus 90 degrees. We are to first determine that this operation plus 90 is inside the parentheses. Therefore, inside the function, you are to perform horizontal shifting. We are to look at the sign is a plus that tells you you are to move in the opposite direction, that is the left. And the 90 degrees tells you you are to shift the graph 90 degrees towards the left. Let's just first mark the x-axis. Starting from the 0 degrees, you are to have the 90 degrees interval. And we are to shift the critical point 90 degrees towards the left. We are to start from this maxima that lies in the 0 degrees. You are to shift 90 degrees towards the left. And you should have a coordinate here. But remember, this is not important. We are to look at the domain here in between 0 degrees to 360 degrees. And if you are to observe the coordinate of this green dot here, that is on the left of the y-axis, it has the x value as minus 90 degrees. And this is not included in the domain, so we can just ignore this coordinate, and we are always to start to draw from this y-axis, but that's fine. We are to continue and look for the x-intercept. And this x-intercept, we are to shift that 90 degrees towards the left. So 90 minus 90, we ultimately land on 0 degrees. And you should have a coordinate here. And this is where we are to start from graphing the function. Moving on, you have this minima, and you are to shift that 90 degrees towards the left. So 180 degrees minus 90 degrees, we ultimately land on 90 degrees. And you should have a point here. In the same logic, there is another x-intercept. You are to shift this point towards the left for 90 degrees and lands on 180 degrees. And this maxima here, 368 degrees minus 90, will get you 270. And we are to extend this parent function y is equal to cos x, because remember, we have to get a point at 360. We are now left with the interval 270 to 360. Let's extend this cos graph. And now, if you are to observe, I have extended the cos graph 90 degrees on the right-hand side. So I believe this interval should give you 450 degrees, and we are to use this coordinate and shift 90 degrees towards the left. And I believe you should land on 360, and this is the coordinate we need. And now we are to join the coordinates from 0 degrees to 360 degrees. You should always remember that our domain is in between 0 to 360. And you should get the answer as your green graph. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe.